Going, there we go. What's up? Good morning, everybody. How is everyone doing this morning? I hope you're doing well. Let me get my screen sharing going over in the Discord. Let me also know that we are live. Stream is live. Let's go. All right, so let me get back over to stream. Let's get the chat. Let me get my screen sharing started, and then we can dig into this. All right. Yes. Go live. All right. That looks good. I think we are. Last little adjustment here so I can see YouTube chat in the background. All right, cool. What's up, Navy Plum? What is up, Shogun? What's up, Chris? Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Let me know if you got any key tickers we want to look at today. It's been a while since you and I have tag teamed one, and generally that has paid out very handsomely when we've done that. So let me know if you've got anything in particular on your watch list. Let me say what's up to everybody else. Leah, Shogun, New Trader, Mike, See Amigo. Good to see everybody here. All right, let's dig in. Let's get to talking about the markets. We'll get through our trade plan recaps and reviews, and then we'll work on some new live stream tickers here. XYZ, DKNG, Hood. All right, we can take a look at those. What's up, YouTube? Good morning to everybody watching on YouTube. Feel free to chime in to the chat. Say good morning. Say what's up. Let me know if you guys have any tickers you want me to take a look at. All right, so what's up, Ryan? Good morning. Good to see you. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start talking. Obviously, we had some interesting news drop yesterday. Well, we had a lot of news yesterday, and it was kind of an interesting day to watch. In fact, let's pull this up via the SPY plan because I think SPY really shows it well. So just kind of food for thought here yesterday. Obviously, we had some interesting news after FOMC with regards to a potential trade deal that's going to be announced this morning. Seems like there is heavy speculation from a number of sources that probably know better than any of us do, that it's going to be an announcement of a trade deal with the UK. UK, depending on how you look at it, is somewhat important to the global trade picture for the US. Not the most important. It's really kind of Canada, Mexico, and China. Those are the big three. UK is important a little bit as far as I think they're in the top 5 of the countries that we export to. But as far as getting tariff relief and avoiding inflationary issues due to tariffs by getting a trade deal with the UK, I think that that's not, I don't think that that's going to move the needle much. We don't import a lot from Great Britain, the UK, whatever you want to call it. So that being said, don't be surprised, and it might not be the worst idea to take a lotto if this 10 a.m. announcement winds up being a sell the news event once that's confirmed. So kind of saying I wouldn't begrudge anybody from taking hedges. I think essentially we've already seen buy the rumor here, and the way that pattern generally plays out is sell the news, right? So again, no guarantees there. That is highly speculative, but just based on the little bit of homework that I did last night, I'm kind of preparing for this to be a sell the news event. Talking about things yesterday from the lens of SPY, though, we saw a massive amount of volatility. We had great levels in place. I talked about this 563.87 level pre-market. This was PT3 for calls from the day prior where we had this pump. So, looking at this day's trading, we had PT3 for calls up here. We had that after hours move. I forget what triggered this one, but it's hard to keep track of all that at this point. That ran us right up into that. We chopped and essentially came all the way back down to right about where we closed over the course of the overnight session. So I said, pre-market, we saw a large concentration of resistance around that PT3 level from the day prior, even with that extended hours insanity. So, I said going into pre-market yesterday, keep that 563.87 on watch. That's going to be a key level for us to continue to watch. Sure enough, that was pretty much our high of day yesterday. PT2 pretty much our low of day yesterday. But if you look at where we opened and where we closed, it was a fairly flat, choppy day. It just had crazy volatility with the FOMC, obviously, and Jerome Powell's press conference. Obviously, they held rates steady. Jerome Powell, in my opinion, sounded more nervous and negative on the kind of the short term outlook for the economy if things stay on the course that we're currently on. So just some things to be mindful of. If we take a look at this through the lens of ES, as we often like to do, we've been watching a couple of key levels before things I think really do open up to the upside or potentially open up to move back down to the downside. 57.40, 55.61. This 55.61 we've talked about I don't know how many times. Let's zoom out on this a little bit further just to make it a little bit easier to see. So we saw this drop, right? We were watching 55.61 on this first drop as potential support. We saw it double bottom there. That came up into a rejection of the trend that brought us below that, and we have since seen a lot of resistance. We saw a breakdown, back test, and that's when it really dumped off that level. We see it concentrating again as resistance, and then ultimately getting a pullback, back test of the trend line that we broke out from, bounced off that, and now pushed back up into this range where, again, I think things can remain volatile and choppy. So, the markets, I think, is going to continue to have good days and bad days, and those will create big swings. So, still urging kind of strong caution, keeping your position sizes small, be very careful about swinging anything. Try to book your profits intraday if you can, and if you're going to do stuff, carry stuff overnight, try to find ways to put some hedges in place, whether that's changing your long positions into debit spreads, or putting hedges in place of some kind. Again, just plan on remaining cautious as long as we're within this range. It could be very, very volatile, very choppy. And again, my personal take on sort of what we might see shortly after the open, when this, I believe it's 10 a.m. announcement of what the trade deal actually is, which again is highly suspected to be a trade deal with Great Britain. That could very well be a sell the news event, and we could see the market drop rapidly because I'm not sure how much that really moves the needle. Again, I'm not a macro global economics expert, but based on the homework I did last night, I don't think that changes a lot from an inflationary perspective. And the other thing, places like China, for example, again, we keep talking about China, but the reason why our container ships are coming in, 50% or less full, and the reason why ports have slowed down to a large extent has a lot to do with the trade with China, and essentially businesses pulling back big time and saying, we're not investing, we're not going to bring in a bunch of stuff at 145% markup. It's just not of interest to us. We'd rather just not sell stuff right now, which is kind of crazy, but that seems like the better alternative for some businesses. And I'll give a personal experience or anecdote. I am, as most of you all know, right in the midst. In fact, within the next 2 weeks, my move will hopefully be finished of relocating, all of my offices, and getting a bunch of AV for my conference rooms. All of that stuff that was supposed to be ready to ship and be here anytime is now like weeks out. Giving me very, COVID supply chain vibes, which is also not great. So again, as Jerome Powell said yesterday, I don't think we're seeing it in the data yet, what the impact of these tariffs is going to be. But if this stuff doesn't get resolved in the very near future, it's going to start to show up in the data, and it's going to get pretty ugly, is my personal take. But again, all that can change with a tweet, with a meeting with China and getting a deal done with them. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, especially given the fact that we're struggling to get deals done with people that we are friendly with. So anyway, that is my macro perspective. And from a technical standpoint, again, just be very careful. Volatile chop range here right now. I'm not seeing a lot of stuff that I'm just like totally saying, yeah, now is the time to load the boat on X, Y, or, well, coincidence there, X, Y, and Z. We're going to take a look at that in a minute, though. So anyway, let's get into some trade plan recaps. Let's talk about these. We've got Webull. This one was from member selected tickers over the weekend. It did give us a nice break to the upside. Let's go to a smaller time frame just so we can see that. Did give us a good break to the upside, kind of chopped around this stop loss average down level, but looks to be bouncing. And looks like it wants to push higher potentially. That's, of course, if the markets cooperate. But this one's been a nice move off of some of these lows back here. I did mention in the chat a few days ago, I decided to buy right some shares. I did wind up having to buy some calls back for a small loss, but premiums on these are still very high. Let me adjust this a little bit so it actually shows the right day. Premiums on these are still pretty high. Still able to sell pretty far out of the money and make decent premium with kind of little time left on the contract. So Webull does look pretty bullish to me and looks like it does want to make moves higher. I'm personally starting to move more and more of my accounts to Webull, to be perfectly honest. I'm really a big fan of their cash. What is it? It's like your uninvested cash interest. Essentially, they're paying like a 4.1% interest rate on any settled cash that you just have in your account. So kind of your free buying power that you're just sitting there watching and waiting for opportunities to deploy it. They'll pay essentially 4% to just have your money sit there. With the amount of money I have in my account and that is currently free cash, it's that winds up being a pretty nice daily take in just interest. Anyway, Webull, big fan of it. I think it's going to continue to push higher, and they're continuing to do some pretty cool stuff with their platform, including opening up access to money market accounts and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, Webull looking great. Google, this one played out very quickly after that news that Apple is seeing shifting away from Google search and going to move more toward an AI driven built-in search platform. Again, I'm not sure really how big of a factor that is, but the market hated that news, and maybe they think that that's an overall bad sign for Google. For that better APR. Yeah, there is a Webull does it where if you have a certain amount in the account, you get that. I think you get that higher interest rate anyway, but then they also have an option to pay to have access to that higher interest rate and some other perks. And I think that was it's like $30 or $40 for the year. So it would still be a little less than what Hood is charging. But Hood is, Robin to Hood, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of Robinhood, but that's just me. I got very sour. I mean, I wasn't using them for other reasons before that, but I got very sour on them in the whole GameStop short squeeze debacle when they essentially, hamstrung their own users. That I do not abide. So I will speak out against Robinhood and steer people toward Webull. Essentially same setup, just I think better mechanics, a better app. It's not maybe as intuitive as Robinhood's app, but I mean it's super easy to pick up. And honestly, if you want to get serious about trading, you need to be able to understand something as I think fairly simple as Webull, even though it might seem complex at first. I'm a fan. Listen, I'm a fan. I've actually moved some of my Schwab accounts, closed those out and moved those over to Webull recently, just because I'm sitting on so much cash right now. Schwab's not paying me shit for having that cash sit there in their account. So why would I leave it with them? I'm paying a negotiated cost per contract rate with them, but again, that's not anything for me to be beholden to them about. So yeah, I don't really like a lot of what happened after TD Ameritrade sold to Schwab. But I mean, I still have some accounts there. It's just I've moved a lot of my free cash over to Webull, just because, I'm waiting for the right opportunities. I'm not being impatient about this, but I want to, I want to have my money putting some work in, even if it's not putting work in a, via a trade, essentially, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So anyway, Google, bad news yesterday. Kind of interesting. Chris, you will probably know what I'm getting ready to say already before I even say it. And this is one of those, wow, did the charts precede the news? Was we see this dip below, we see this test of what do we have here, both the 200 and the 333 SMAs right here together. So again, if you kind of played that opportunity as a potential rejection, I don't know how you would have seen it coming, but maybe after it sliced through this bullish buying pressure here on NTS, that was maybe a good go signal. Did get the close below, kind of close to a back test, and then absolutely just accelerated to the downside through all of our price targets. But again, 333, 200 SMA combo right there. Beautiful rejection. Toss app. Yeah, I get it. New trader. I've gotten used to Webull. It's still, there are some things that I miss with Toss as far as the app goes. And of course I'm using TradingView for my charting, so really that was more for just order executions anyway. I'm getting used to Webull, and again, with how much I've got sitting in cash right now, I'd be stupid to leave it sitting in a Schwab account. If it ever gets to a point where I'm loaded up on a lot of positions again and I'm not carrying a lot of free cash, which I'm sure will happen, it's just a matter of when. I can easily do an account transfer and transfer my existing positions back over to Schwab. So yeah, it's it is what it is. All right. So anyway, Google to the downside. That's been playing out beautifully. TQQQ, this one's ultimately been holding a little liquidity sweep down there. Key buying pressure on NTS bounced off of that yesterday going into this overnight session with this gap up. Again, don't be surprised to see this gap fill to the downside today, especially after that 10 a.m. announcement. I anticipate that to be sell the news. NVIDIA, I don't think this is one of our tickers. I did do a quick one. Oh, we're going to have a chance to get back in. All right, good. I was getting bummed that I missed this one. I didn't notice that it pulled back that much yesterday. So We Ride, this is one that Nick asked for my opinion on in the chats. I set up the alerts and stuff like that for it. The trade plan was published in the chat, so kind of not my usual approach, but this one did make a breakout to the upside, hit all of our price targets. Again, I was very frustrated with myself. I mean, this was a great setup. I got the alert. It was posted to the chat as well. Again, I'm in the middle of this move. Something came up, and I got distracted elsewhere. And by the time I looked back, it was already at PT1, and then I was waiting for a pullback that never came, hit PT3. But, well, I shouldn't say never. Hadn't come yet. Now we're seeing that pullback. I didn't even notice this yesterday. Hopefully I didn't miss the boat a second time, but 200 SMA trending up here. As long as this one's holding over 805, I like it to go long and build a share position on this one. It's an interesting approach. They do robo taxis and things of that nature. And do they have May 21st? They do have earnings coming up in 20 days, but again, if you're in shares, that might be a great thing. Volume has been massive on it as of late. So keep We Ride on your watch list. And honestly, I don't hate the idea of starting to accumulate some shares even at these prices, as long as it's maintaining over 805. And really, if we're talking about shares, we can give it some more room. 333 SMA down there on the 15-minute at 761, which is a level I also like as support. So you could even give it all the way down to 761, but could be an opportunity to get back in or get in for the first time for me into We Ride if you've already played this one to the upside. Is there a way for NTS there? It's a great question. It wouldn't be in the any alert functions, but you should be able to. Let me think about this. Let's see. Yeah. So you could do, the condition would be NTS as your condition. You would switch the any alert from crossing, and then you can pick a component it would be MA1 or 2, depending on how you have your set up. I think MA1 is the 200, MA2 is the 333. So if you picked one of those, why is it keeping a value in there though? No. That's not how that would work. I don't know. Let me look at that. You could definitely do it with the ultimate moving averages indicator, but yeah, let me think about that. There should be a way to do it. WRD, that was one of our kind of rando trade plans I threw out to the chat, but I did set alerts for it. Hopefully you guys saw that. PLTR, this one was one that we did on Tuesday of this week's live stream plan. So this one went into effect here. That doesn't sound right. Tuesday, we would have done that Tuesday pre-market, right? This is Tuesday live stream, unless I just didn't save. Did we do PLTR on Tuesday? Sorry. Need to get in the weeds with this. Yeah, we did. Why does that look? Oh, it just dropped straight. Oh, never mind. Okay. Sorry. I don't know why I got so confused by that. So we did this plan right about there. We were looking for a break below this 111.25 level. We got that pretty rapidly. Not sure if it saw a chance for a back test. It did kind of actually break below. A little bit of a push to the upside there. Broke down to PT1 plus for the downside. Is trying to push back to the upside here this morning pre-market. Nice little back test, actually. Could have played this one twice. Again, 333 SMA right there, adding some resistance to that entry. Leave your stops overhead right there per the play. I could have played that back to PT1 again. 200 SMA tried to catch it. But 200 did cross back above the 333 here on the 5-minute. Has flipped things bullish on NTS. This one could be an interesting one to watch if it breaks over 113.19. That could create an opportunity to play for upside to 115.87 and put your stops at the put entry there at 111.25. So that's PLTR. I'm going to try to accelerate through this so we can have some time for at least a couple of trade plans. Let's see. We also did Duolingo. We did this one on Tuesday pre-market. So right here, this one has yet to give us a confirmed break to either. Oops, wrong thing. This one's yet to give us a confirmed break to either side. Looks like it's trying to open up above the call entry here, but so far nothing confirmed yet on Duolingo. I don't think we had a third. This is probably from a few Tuesdays ago, but coincidentally, and I do like the setup on it, ASTS is consolidating right up against our call entry. Let's see if we have alerts set on this currently. I don't think we do. Clear these inactive alerts. Let's go ahead and refresh these ASTS alerts if you guys are cool with that. I know we don't have this as a request this morning, but it's right here sitting there ready to go. I'm going to call it a live stream replay since we didn't really do it on the live stream, but let's go ahead and get this one going. And then let's also post this in the watch list so I can set these alerts up again. Copy my message link in here. Go ahead and set this up. We'll give it till next Tuesday or next Thursday, sorry, see how that plays out. Cool. I do not like how TradingView has taken away the option to name. I've got to figure out if this is intentional or if I'm just missing something. Why would they put it in a whole different spot? That is dumb. Not a fan, TradingView. Fix that. ASTS live stream plan. At least I know where it is now. I was like, oh, wait a second. That's a new little... It used to be just right here in the settings. I don't know why they would put it in a whole different spot, but whatever. All right, cool. So we'll get some alerts sent to the chat, depending on how things go with ASTS. So keep this one on watch. I was just checking to make sure we didn't have a third live stream from Tuesday. We did Chipotle. This one is trying to play out to the upside. Gave us a break above, back tested the call. Seems to be grinding higher here pre-market. Going to take a shot at PT1. Chris has got to be happy about that. Get those burritos, bro. All right, and then I think we had one other from last. Yeah, we did IWM. IWM got a little crazy, got a little wild with the FOMC stuff yesterday. We did this one. This was actually last Thursday. So let's, or do I have that marked? Try to mark these, but apparently I forgot. So this one's actually been playing out for a while. We put this one in last Thursday. Did break to the upside, got to PT2, has since pulled back, got pretty close to a back test, played out for some more upside targets. Now it's looking a bit choppy. I would definitely want to adjust these levels. Again, another one would be interesting to see the gap fill. If it gets a back test of the call entry there at 197.87, does have some decent moving average confluence there on the 5-minute. And some NTS and moving average confluence there on the 15 minutes. So yeah, watch 197.87 if we get that 10 a.m. pullback that I'm talking about. That could be a good entry for going long on IWM, and then just keep your stops at 196.54. Be careful about trying to catch a falling knife though after that news drops, is certainly also be mentioned. All right, so let's get to these ticker requests. Sorry, it's taking me a minute. Gosh, I'm gonna have to fly through these. All right, XYZ, DKNG, Hood, those three, any of them. Hasn't XYZ had a big sell-off recently? This trade plan pilot, so it's not in the way, messing up my charts. Yeah, they just reported earnings. We're a few days out from earnings. It's been trying to bounce since then. What do you know, right? We talk about this moving average all the frickin' time. 333, button right up against it, pushing it to the downside here. But if it can clear over that on the 15, this could start to recover some of this earnings gap. So let's take a look at it. Let's go with XYZ of Chris's requests. These are old drawings. I don't need any more. I don't know what that trend line is. I don't need that anymore. All right. Group these. Whoops, no, I don't want to hide those yet. Just want to get them resituated here. There we go. All right, and whatever gap this was is clearly filled. All right, so we've got some existing levels to work with, at least in the current range of XYZ. Let's zoom out a little bit. See what this is looking like. I'm going to hide my indicators first now. Hide my indicators for now. There we go. All right. So XYZ, square, block, whatever they're called these days. Is that all-time lows? Can't be. No, I didn't think so. Let's take a look at this price action back here, though, because we'll probably benefit from this for finding some of these downside levels that we'll likely need. This is probably like right here. There. Surprised. Is that all-time lows? I think so. No. Let's see if we can find. That's going to be an interesting level. Let's see how that plays out. Also want to watch this bit of support. So let's go back to that more recent price action. Sorry, I know this probably is crazy to watch, but I don't want to lose my place. Where's that last dip? There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Bam. That's what I was hoping to see. Cool. Perfect. Like that level. That level. Sorry, I know I'm going kind of super fast here, but time is of the essence. I want to try to get 2 trade plans in the next 10 minutes. do it. All right. I think that gives us pretty good levels to watch on the downside. Where is it sitting? 48.58 currently. Just above, but I think we're going to give this a little bit of room. More room to the downside before that put entry does look good. I think that gives us room down to this 45.66 level. This level could be a little bit lower. Yeah, still looks, actually that looks a little better. I think that actually looks like a solid PT2. I might be overextending to the downside there, but that's what it looks like to me. And then on down to 40.82. All three price targets set there. Already looking at this 48.38. The potential stop loss on that downside. Plan. This might be a little bit. This is the. You all won't know this, but for me, that blue level is like a placeholder. I'm testing. I'm trying to figure out where a level was or potentially sitting at. XYZ is not one that I look at a lot, but I want to see how this plays out through this little stretch right here. Really volatile in that range, but I think let's check this current price action. Yeah, let's give it that room. It's a very iffy. It could be that this stop loss should be a little tighter, but we've got really good room to the downside. Let me look at this on the hourly. Actually, that might give me the additional candles and insight that I'm looking for. Pretty close. Sorry, let me just look at this. I don't want to get us shaken out of a trade that's still in good shape. You know what? It could actually be even a little bit higher. Looking at this hourly chart, it's a little bit iffy, wishy-washy. We are showing some signs of rejections there pre-market. I'm going to go with that. We'll give it that room. All right, upside. Yeah, this is already kind of jumping out at me, but again, this being a blue level, wasn't quite convinced on exactly where it should be. I think it should be a little bit higher, actually. Yeah, definitely. I see it now. Right there. Yep, that looks good. Yeah, I like that. So, we take that. Potential call entry there. Stop loss average. Let's see. Well, let's see where our targets are. I'm thinking about giving it down to that weekly level. I do like a first target up here. I mean, this one could start to recover quickly if it gets over that 51 mark. Probably also some psychological support resistance there. I think that does give us enough room to have a decent risk reward and stop loss average down at that weekly level. I think our next price target to the upside is this weekly level. And third target, interesting. Yeah, I think this level, I've got I'm okay with that. I'm using that as a third price target. This testing level down here a little bit lower, and now those levels make more sense. All right, yeah, I like those levels in this plan. So let's go. Good pick, Chris. Much appreciated, brother. All right, so we're looking for a break over 51, 53.47, 55.35, 57.20. Stop loss at, whoops, 49. Oh, come on, man. 49.66, 47.51, 45.66, 42.88. 40.82 with a stop loss average down at 48.85. No shared stop loss average down there. So let's turn on the trade plan pilot and our indicators. And let's go these extra drawings. All right, cool. So here is link. All right, I got to really make moves here. This is the XYZ, although we did get a replay plan in, so that's good. All right, so that is the XYZ live stream plan. Let me get that posted over in the Discord as well. And let's get the watch list. Message link. Save this template. It's Thursday live stream plan 1. Save, yes. Regular trading hours alerts. Cool. Wait, can I go back and paste my Discord link in here? Make sure I did that. Just in case I forgot. Any alert function call, 30 minutes. Let this expire a week from today. All right, alerts are set. Let's talk through this and then let's get to one more trade plan. What are we looking for here on XYZ? We are looking for a break over 51. That should give us targets at 53.47, 55.35, and 57.20. Stop loss average down at 49.66. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 47.51. That should bring targets at 45.66, 42.88, and 40.82 with a stop loss average down at 48.85. Those are your XYZ upside and downside plans. Let's all right, let's see if we can get late bull hood. We talked about those. Hood doesn't have the option to set your. Oh, yeah, that's good to know. Short swab. Yeah, where were our other? Good morning. MSTR or Lunar. Actually, I was just talking about Lunar last night. Let's take a look at that. That's a one that we could trade shares on too. I like that pick. Unknown reviews. Earnings coming up pretty soon as well. It's the actual date, 5 days. Rocket Lab. All right, let's see. Oh, wrong layout. I was like, I swear I've got some levels on this. Saving. Let's go. Playbook. That looks better. Is that? All right, let's see. Lunar's a bit beat down since the last time we looked at it. All right, I'm gonna need to get some new levels on this one. Let's do that real quick. real quick. All right, let's go. This is an interesting level. Not totally convinced it's a weekly level. I'm gonna flag it like that for now. A little bit more. Look at this. I like that one too. There. It's a little hard to see, but it's there. Okay. That looks pretty good. All right. Let's, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of accelerate this process. I just wanted to get some of those higher time frame levels in the mix there. Clearly, we've rejected this 964 daily level a few times. I think that above that certainly opens up some room to the upside. Just take a look at how much room. So already looking at that as a first price target. That makes sense as a second price target for sure. Third price target. We'll confirm this. I know I'm kind of flying through these, but get these confused with this old trade plan levels. Check this on this recent price action back here. Oh yeah, yep. Definitely like those levels where we've got them. Perfect, I like that. Stop loss average down. This is one that we're going to need to add. Let's see where we've... Right here. All right, whoops, I like that upside plan. Downside. I think what we're looking for on the downside is going to look like this. Stop loss average down there. This weekly level, I was a bit zoomed out. I think it does. Where was that? Yeah, that little gap flip to a rejection right there. I think it's a little bit lower on that weekly level than where I had it when I was zoomed way out. I like that setup. First target. Definitely sitting. Yeah, I like that right there. It's going to be a quick PT1-2 on this. 722 and 676. And then on down to 622. Like that. Okay, cool. So, plug in the trade plan pilot. This would be a great one to trade with shares. It's got to be shortable. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. So short shares, long shares, but I like this one as a equity trade personally. You can also trade it with options, but 622 stop loss at 853. Let's put these together. Now let's fix this Y offset so the chart doesn't look insane. That's more too. It's good. Okay. So here is, oops, let's get that on the screen. Our lunar live stream plan. Post it here and in the watch list. Grab my link. Get to put that in here. All right. So what are we looking for here on Lunar? We are looking for, well, sorry, let me finish what I was doing. Symbol. Cool. Good. Right. Yeah, okay, cool. And let's get our alerts squared away. Thursday. 2. All right, so what are we looking for here on Lunar? We are looking for a break over 964 that should give us targets at 1061, 1140, and 1260 with a stop loss average down at 883. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 798 that should give us targets at 722, 676, and 622 with a stop loss average down at 853. Those are your Lunar live stream upside and downside plans. This is your Xtrades FOMO live stream for Thursday, May the 8th. Just a quick heads up, folks. I am not going to be doing any live streams because of everything that I'm going to have going on with the move. The week of the 12th or the week of the 19th, I should be able to circle back and start doing them again the last week of May, and then we'll be back on track from that point forward. But these next couple of weeks are going to be absolutely insane for me, and I don't want to set expectations that we're going to have a live stream and then I have to cancel at the last minute because of something going on with this move. I'd rather just plan on not doing these for the next couple of weeks. As much as it disappoints me, I'm not going to be reliable, and I'd rather be reliable and say that I just probably won't be able to do them until we kind of get to the other side of this move coming up. At which point I think I'll be able to pick these back up at the end of May. So keep an eye on the Xtrades YouTube. I will adjust the calendar events in the Discord. I'll also get the correct dates put on the Xtrades app calendar. So just keep your eyes on all that to make sure that nothing changes, and I don't need to also not do any the last week of May, but I plan on being back and up and running with these again by the last week of May, is my hope. So I appreciate y'all's patience while I'm away these next couple of weeks and not as active. I will do my best to provide insights and set alerts that can be fed to the chat as much as I can over the next couple of weeks. But again, I'm going to just be a little bit touch and go, hit or miss, whatever you want to call it, for the next few weeks. So with that being said, as we always say on these FOMO live streams, plan your trades, trade your plans. Remember, we're looking for profits, not perfection. So keep those wins big, keep those losses small. Go out there and get some green. Have a great day. I will see you all in the chats. Spy plan coming at you here in the next 10 minutes. Take care. I will talk to you all as soon as possible. See you soon.